Hello everyone and welcome to another interesting SQL session with Learn at Knowstar. Today we are going to write a very popular SQL query which is to forward fill values. So if you have nulls in the data, how do you forward fill from the first not null value? This is also popularly known as the last not null value puzzle. So that is what we are going to find out, how we can find out the last not null value which can be used to fill the null entries in your data. So today we are going to be working with the currency data. So we have a table called currency rate, and then you have a currency key in the table which defines the kind of currency. Then you have a date key and a rate. So rate is the rate for that currency on that particular day. Now we see that there are continuous values and continuous dates, and there are rates corresponding to those particular dates, but there are some null values over here. So what we want to do now is replace this null value with the last not null value above them. So the last not null value occurred on 31st of December, and this is the value. So from the 1st to the 3rd of January, we want to replace all these nulls with this last not null value. If we go further down in the data, we can see that there are nulls occurring here as well for 9th and 10th of January. So we want to replace that with the last not null value just above those null values. So which is going to be this particular value from the 8th of January. So this is what we're going to see now. Again, there are various ways to do this, but we are going to discuss the most straightforward and simple query that can help us achieve the desired results. So the first step is going to be grouping these null values with the last not null value above them. So for doing that, we are going to use the function which is the count function, and we are going to write it using the Windows query. So let's write it and see what are the results and what exactly are we trying to achieve. So if I just do a select star and then I do a count on the rate column over partition by currency key and order by date key as, let's call it, a group from currency rate table. So if I just execute this query, let's see what is going to happen. So what has happened over here is that a count has been performed on each row. So every time you have a not null value, your count will get incremented. So for this first not null value, your count is 1. Then there's another not null value and your count becomes 2. Again, there's a not null value, so count gets incremented by 3. But as soon as the null values come, the count is going to remain the same because we have performed a count on the column name. So this is how the count works. So if you want to find out more about how the different counts work, for example, how the count star will work, how the count column name will work, then there's a link above to the video tutorial that we have already done on this topic, so you can go there and check it out. But when you do a count column name, then it will not count the null value. So that is why what has happened is the group over here will remain the same, and for these 4 records now here the group is same. So we have a not null value, and then we have all the null records which are following that not null value. And see, we have ordered by the date key, we have partitioned by the currency key, so everything will be in a proper order. So the next thing that we need to do is pretty simple. We just need to select for this particular group 3 over here the not null value or the first value in that group. So what we can do is we can just put this in a CTE so that we would be able to use the results of this CTE. So we can say with currency group as, and let's just put this within a CTE and then run another query on top of this. So we can say select star again. And then what I'm going to do is within this group, I'm going to select the first value. So that is one way in which you can do. So if your SQL Server is of that version where you can use this function first value, okay, and you have to define a column. So let's say rate, and then the same thing over partition by currency key. And we also need to partition by this group now. So what these groups have been created above from the above CTE, we need to partition by that group so that within this group, the first value will be picked up. And the first value, so we have to first include this group column, and then the first value will be picked up based on this ordering by that you're defining. So we are going to order by the date key. So that will make sure that the correct first value is picked up. And then we can just call it currency rate, and this is going to be from the above CTE that we defined, which is currency group. So now if we execute this query, you will see that these rates are the same as the original rates, but when we go to the null values, you will see that the first rate in that group has been copied for all the null values over here. So if we go down further, we can see over here the 0.9996 value has been copied for these null records. So this is a very simple way in which you can forward fill the records. Now, if you have an older version of SQL Server and the first value function does not work, you can also use the max function. So it will pick out the maximum value within that group, which is going to be the not null value. So if you run this, the same you can achieve the same results over here as well. So this is simply how we can forward fill the data. This is again a very common puzzle that is asked. It's called the last not null value puzzle. And there are other ways to do this. We can do it using the CTEs and subqueries as well. I hope that you found the video useful. If you want to share the other ways, if you are aware of any other ways of achieving this, then you can put them down in the comments below. Also, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will be making many more videos very soon. If you want any particular SQL query to be answered, please share that with us in the comments below, and we'll try our best to answer that as well. Again, thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye.